apparently, allegedly, reported by Mike Max of CBS Minnesota, there was an inappropriate relationship between GERSON ROSAS and a Timberwolves staff official, and both of those people were abruptly fired yesterday. So I have the whole situation red flagged. Apparently, what happened was that GERSON ROSAS, he was caught cheating with that staffer, and they were photographed at a Minnesota United FC. If you don't know, that's the Minnesota soccer team, their MLS team. They were photographed in a skybox together, kissing during a game, which I don't know, man. Okay, I'm not going to say much else on that aspect of this, but I don't know, man. That's kind of a dumb move. Rosas' firing came after just a few days after that situation was made known to the team executives. Also reported was the fact that this move did not necessarily come from the Timberwolves' current management, their current owners. It actually came from, in part, from the new management group that hasn't actually taken over the team yet. So let's remember that a management group associated with Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lore is scheduled to take over the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2023, but they haven't actually taken over the team yet. But they were the ones who handed down that they wanted him gone. Whether or not they're the person with the final say, are they running the Timberwolves right now? Is that what's going on? I have that whole situation red flag. That's just not what you want from a team. You can't have two different management groups running the same franchise. You have to have an actual singular management chain. It kind of sounds like a singular management change is what GERSON ROSAS wanted. It's what GERSON ROSAS had. I understand that he had an affair, but I actually liked a lot of his moves and a lot of the things he did. And I don't know. I wish that he was still around running the Timberwolves. Part of what happened, so it's great, right? There's multiple things coming out that these are the reasons why GERSON ROSAS was fired. I think it sounds like the whole affair thing, the whole staffer thing, that was like more of the tipping point for GERSON ROSAS, because there were also reports coming out of the Timberwolves camp yesterday that he was alienating everyone else, all of the other executives on the running the team, running the front office. Apparently, he wasn't taking the advice of a lot of the Timberwolves senior executive front office people, and that instead, he was making a lot of the moves himself. I would like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that we are talking about the Timberwolves front office. So if GERSON ROSAS isn't taking the advice of Timberwolves management, that's probably a pretty good idea, because they're the Timberwolves. I don't know. Crazy. I actually really liked a lot of GERSON ROSAS' moves from a general manager, president of basketball operations point of view. It's great to look at these moves in hindsight, but I just want to remind people about what we really thought when these moves actually went down. The first one is that GERSON ROSAS. So GERSON, by the way, let's keep his career timeline. His career timeline. He only spent 2 years with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He was hired May 1st of 2019, and he was fired yesterday or on Wednesday. That is September 22nd. So really not that long with the team. And he made a lot of nice moves. He made a lot of actually good restructuring moves. His first being D'Lo for Andrew Wiggins and a first. Let's think. Remember that D'Angelo Russell was a star guard in Brooklyn, and he was a star guard for his short amount of time in Golden State. And while the fit around Karl Anthony Towns was not something that people put into the positives category of this trade, getting Andrew Wiggins off of their basketball team, which was clearly a very poor situation that GERSON ROSAS inherited and decided that he had to fix. I like that move. And it cost them a first-round pick, but that's what happens when you sign a nice but relatively middling wing player to a max contract. And in return, you get a max player who actually has the possibility of being a max player. So I like that move. He also drafted Anthony Edwards. And let's remember, again, people, that this was the draft where the top three were James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, and Anthony Edwards. LaMelo Ball was not LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball was, I don't know, he just played in the Lithuanian and Australian league, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball was he might be a lot of social media hype, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball was the LeVar Ball situation looks pretty scary. I don't know if that's something I'd want to risk on a number 1 overall pick, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball was not Rookie of the Year LaMelo Ball. James Wiseman was a great center, was a 5-star prospect who played like 3 games in college. He played the last basketball that he played before the NBA draft was in high school against high schoolers. But he was still the number 2 overall pick to the Warriors, and I think the Warriors would have been dead set on him no matter what. LaMelo Ball was the number 3 overall pick. I mean, okay, you can't really blame him. Number 3 overall pick out of these top 3 players, sure. You just get what you can. But taking Anthony Edwards at the number 1 pick, I did not like that move at the time. I thought it should have been LaMelo. I was saying screw the hype. But from a risk point of view, when you just busted on Andrew Wiggins, you cannot risk that doing the same thing for your fan base. So he took Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards had a really nice season last year. So that's a W from a pick perspective. He also made a multi-team deal to get Robert Covington off the team in what I think is one of the more under-the-radar picks. But it was one of those picks that's very telling, and here's why. Clearly, he thinks that Karl Anthony Towns, their star player on the Minnesota Timberwolves, is not a number 1 option, best player on a championship team caliber player. I agree with this evaluation from GERSON ROSAS, but this move for Robert Covington tells you that he thinks this way. He essentially, Robert Covington is a win-now player. Getting him off the team, getting his contract off the team was important not only in the whole D'Lo situation, but he also got Jaden McDaniels and Leandro Bolmera, which were, before they were on the Timberwolves, they were seen as good role players. Whether you see them as good role players or now, I know that there is some sort of discretion between fans at this point. What can I say? But at the time, this was seen as a move that could actually really benefit the Timberwolves, and it was great for salaries. I don't know if Cat really is or isn't the number 1 option on a championship team, but what I will respect from a president of basketball operations point of view is leaning in to your opinion, leaning in to your evaluations, and deciding that your evaluations are going to be the ones we're basing these decisions off of. I'm not saying Cat sucks, but he's probably just not going to be their number 1 guy. Or if he is, it's not going to be your typical number 1 option, number 2 option situation. He's going to have to be paired with another superstar. And instead of getting a bunch of role players to surround Cat with, he actually went out and gave the Timberwolves two chances at co-stars to put next to Cat, and that is D'Lo and that is Anthony Edwards. Whether or not those moves pan out We'll have to see. But props to GERSON ROSAS because he actually got the Timberwolves in a pretty nice situation. I think that they're going to be actually a pretty good team next. Not pretty good as in play-in team next year, which is insane by Timberwolves standards. Right now, we have a situation where if Karl Anthony Towns leaves the Timberwolves, Timberwolves fans might be cheering for him to leave. They might be cheering for him for the next team that he goes to. It'll be like a Kevin Garnett's to the Celtics situation, where Timberwolves fans are happy that Kevin Garnett finally gets a ring, whether it's on the Timberwolves or not. At the end of the day, all this means is that GERSON ROSAS, he had a really good idea of where his team was and where they needed to be to elevate themselves. He was just hired in 2019, and 6 months after that whole Jimmy Butler situation and the Tom Thibodeau firing happened, I think 4 months before he was hired. So he inherited a mess. It would have been great. It would have been awesome to see a Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns combo reach the playoffs. They had some nice role players, Covington, Jared Bayless, Dario Saric. But Rosas saw what they had and realized that it wasn't enough. And sometimes in team building, in sports, that's the most important step. Seeing what you have, being honest with what you have, and then moving forward from that. Not lying to yourself and telling yourself that you have a contender when you really don't.